Private land ownership is a hard thing to wrap your head around at best, and problematic at worst. Very roughly, there's enough habitable land for every person of the nearly 8 billion of us on Earth to have our own 2 3/4 acres. Not even a full soccer field per person. Obviously, the thought experiment falls apart the more you apply it to reality. If people evenly dispersed like this, the entire fabric of our global civilization would be tattered and torn. And the whole idea of what is habitable is up for debate as well. But I find myself thinking philosophically about land ownership nonetheless. How odd it is that we feel the need to stake a claim on a piece of the Earth's crust. We didn't always own the land, and we will eventually, once again, not own the land. Yet, in the meantime, we try to make it definitive, drawing up contracts, establishing boundaries, both physical and figurative. Mago Island is a relatively large example of humans carving out their piece of the Earth. The 8.5 square mile island is part of the Lau group of islands in Fiji. The story is that the indigenous Fijian people were forced to leave the land at gunpoint. The island would become a cotton and then sugarcane plantation in the second half of the 1800s. But in 2005, in a $15 million deal made by a Japanese conglomerate, the American actor Mel Gibson purchased the entire island. Descendants of the displaced original inhabitants have spoken out against the sale, but little to nothing has been done, and the Fijian government refuses to become involved. What exactly happens here? One can suppose, looking at the scattered collections of buildings, that Gibson uses it as a retreat from the rest of the world. And who doesn't dream of having such an exotic getaway location? You can imagine it easily, seeing the small plane on the rudimentary runway, the actor flying in for a week or two, taking it easy, exploring this giant, pristine island. And you can imagine the number of people required to keep it running for him, the cooks, gardeners, and caretakers. Rather than get lost in the inequality inherent to that, I lose myself to the island, imagining what it feels like to be in the middle of it, not to own it, just to fully experience what it has to offer and to be content with that.